Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome back to Two Bros, One Blockchain. This is episode 9 of the podcast. You are joining us at a pretty interesting time in the crypto markets in the global macro environment because everyone's, a macro expert nowadays with everything going on in the markets. But guys, we have to be honest with you. It has been some crazy blood out there in the streets. Bitcoin is trading under 90K, which it's really not that crazy. It's almost at 90K, which is a statement in itself. But altcoins have been absolutely decimated. I know, Alex and I obviously hold out altcoins, so our portfolios are also down. But I will say, uh, you know, we do believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. At the end of the day, we are subscribing to certain macro uh, ideas that would suggest that, as a cycle, we're not done. So that's the perspective that we come from. And obviously today, this is kind of just giving you guys some live reaction to what's going on, just some basic thoughts. And again, as we usually do, turn it into this little crypto therapy session for you for a couple of minutes, just as your fellow retail trader. So Alex, I'm setting the stage there. Really want to get your thoughts, and we'll just talk about how we're feeling with everything going on.
Yeah, hope everyone's doing well tonight. So basically where we're sitting right now, last Wednesday you're looking at the S&P sitting around a little above 6,100, currently sitting down towards about 5,955 dollars, which is obviously a pretty large or substantial drop for the S&P. Um, Lost a lot of key levels, right? Going all the way down there. So we're kind of seeing everything just follow the S&P here. So Bitcoin came down as well, and obviously that's just going to spark that whole sell off that we've seen over these last few days. So nothing too alarming, right? It's not like we've broken anything that's going to allow us to say that we're not structurally bullish at this time. Sitting around 88K, right? That's the level that we've kind of been saying we would hold, right? That 87, 88K mark. We do know that there is a huge amount of liquidity sitting down at 77K. If we were to tap that, I do think it would be a violent V-shaped recovery. So something like a very quick sell-off, right? Drop all the way down, tap it within just an hour or two, probably all the way back up to like the mid to high 80s. And then that would give us that breathing room now for the next leg up. And that is very, very important. So these consolidations, right? If you look at the history of Bitcoin as it's going through bull runs, there's going to be multiple 20 to 30% drops. It's very, very common. We move up, we consolidate, we range for a while, and then we usually see a scoop to the downside where we suck up all that liquidity from everyone that's basically trying to leverage trade. And then what you're going to see is us move to the next leg higher. So a lot of big catalysts coming out this week. That's very, very impactful to the market, right? You have NVIDIA earnings coming out tomorrow. If that does happen to be bullish, it could very well send the S&P higher, which I think would in turn drive Bitcoin up, Ethereum, and then alts. There's also a couple other reports that are coming out. We have a Fed meeting not too far out, a few weeks out from here too as well. We really are just waiting to see also where that inflation data falls. So one of the key inflation data points or the most leveraged by the Federal Reserve will be coming out too then. So a lot of big catalysts that could spark us in the right direction going into March. I think we expected about 3 weeks, 4 weeks of consolidation here, and we're about week 3. So in terms of that, this isn't anything too out of the ordinary, right? Like everything is just kind of following the S&P, sweeping that leverage. We have some reports coming out again that could impact us positively or negatively. I do think that it's going to be more positive though moving forward, and that's going to basically set us up for that next leg up, as I said prior. So you want to make sure that we're focusing on the realistic projection, right? So if you are looking at this market and you bought and you were down 20, 30, 40, 50%, maybe even more in some cases, if you bought some smaller alts, you're probably sitting here asking yourself, or maybe you already sold out, which I hope you made the right choice there. If you were going to sell out, you wanted to do that not yesterday or today. You want to do that at least a few weeks prior, back when you hopefully were able to recover some profits or most of your entry position. If you're selling now, I think you're making the wrong call. So, and why is that, right? Because even if we do sweep 77K, the chances that you kind of snipe those lows on these altcoins, I think is going to be very, very difficult, near impossible actually. If everyone could time the bottoms and sell at the tops, right, then we'd all be rich, and that's not the case. It's very, very tough to win in this market. So if you're selling out here and then everything launches back up, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you've sold now at a loss. You're throwing less money than you had before in, probably around your entry point or maybe even above what you bought into previously. And then you're going to be hoping and praying that it doesn't drop on you again. So the best thing to do here, like I said, is if you weren't ahead of this drop and you didn't sell a few weeks prior, then the best thing is to basically just wait for the market to recover here. I do think that we're in a very, very bullish spot, right? Like Strategy just bought $2 billion. There's a lot of key data that's going to be coming out over these next few weeks here. And all of that can kind of cause a catalyst that will basically push us back above that 95K range. So don't want to get too scared is what I'm getting at overall here. And we might sweep some further lows, very, very much on the table at this time. But you don't also want to get too scared, right? Again, we are looking at this market overall macro, very, very bullish. The charts are structurally bullish. This is nothing out of the ordinary. 20, 30% drops are very, very common for Bitcoin. And you're going to see larger than 20 to 30% drops in altcoins when that happens. So volatility is the name of the game here. You're in crypto because you're hoping that you're going to be able to make much larger returns than buying things like Apple, Tesla, Amazon stock, etc. And if you're over here and you're expecting those large gains, you have to also be expecting a lot of volatility to the downside as we make these legs up and continue into this bull run. So anyone here that's questioning what's going on, what should I be doing with my entries? If you're thinking about selling at 30% down on your investment, I don't think that that's the right decision. Again, not a financial advisor, can't make that call for you. But in terms of what we're doing with our bags, right? If we didn't sell, I know Dante and I did move some money around, maybe got a little bit of cash, have been DCAing back into this market across these lows. If you aren't in that position where you made those calls or you don't have any more capital to deploy, then your best bet from my perspective is just to sit on your hands. Again, have to make that call for yourself. But that is, I think, what we're looking at in terms of the macro, the overall, looking at the charts here. And it really is just all stemming from the S&P, which, again, coming back to that NVIDIA earnings report, as well as a few other reports and the inflation data right around the corner. If all of this turns out to be positive, which it very well could be, you're going to start to see this market take off towards the next leg up, and sweeping these lows is actually a good thing. So some of us living in the moment don't like seeing our portfolios down. I get it. It's very frustrating. It can be very, very tough to hold. Thinking about the long term, is this going to go lower? Am I going to get completely underwater and lose 50, 60% or more of my investment? But you do have to look at the overall picture here and the long-term horizon. And if we are thinking that Bitcoin is going to break 150K this year, these drops are just basically a single moment in time that you're not even going to remember down the road. So we've been through this. We watched Bitcoin come back down several times over these last few months. Things have been going really, really well since the election and Trump got coming into office. It's obviously been a catalyst that has continued just to create a spark in both the stock market and the crypto markets. And going forward, I think we just have to stay structurally bullish in our minds, given the data that we're looking at is saying that the charts are still structurally bullish themselves. So that's my takeaway. Dante, I'm going to let you take over from there and kind of give your 2 cents on the topic as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. It's mainly, I like what you're saying. It's at the end of the day, and this is something we've also realized is, if you look at the last couple of years and just in general, I guess the overall idea here is that, the currency is debasing. So we have to invest in certain assets to hedge against the debasement of the currency. So we have to have our exposure to certain things. and crypto is obviously one of them, and Bitcoin is obviously one of them. And now, everything seems to be very uncertain with, the whole macro picture, and people are very confused as to whether this is potentially us going into a recession. Now, if it is us going into a recession, like, I'll be brutally honest with everyone, it's like you can't be relying on crypto to financially, like, keep you afloat. You need to have some other way of bringing in money and, creating a stockpile of cash that you can then go and buy assets with. So that's number one. And then after that, then you can look into, hey, now I want to figure out what I can do to hedge against debasement. Try and make some educated guesses, because the probability of you being right, if it's not Bitcoin or, the major large caps, like, you're probably going to be wrong on some things. So you have to be able to manage your risk that way. But the main thing is, at this point, if you didn't sell in December or you were holding meme coins, you are getting your either first or the last lesson in why it is so risky to be in some of these speculative assets, when any day they can, the rug can pull from you and you're 70-80% down on a coin that you're not sure is going to come back. Like, that's where the most of the pain is coming from. People in those situations where basically, I think I tweeted it earlier. Essentially, the idea is, like, if you have a well-constructed portfolio, when asset prices are going down, it should encourage you to start DCAing / adding more capital to that asset, because you truly believe that in the long run, this is something you never want to sell, because the value of it later on in life is going to be so much higher. Bitcoin would be that example in this situation. But when you have a poorly constructed portfolio, when we see these large drawdowns, you're usually looking at how you can get back to either break even or in profit, just so you can get your fiat back, because you don't really believe that this is going to be here long term. You're just gambling, you're just speculating. So you have to draw, kind of a line with what you're doing here, because it's very easy to teeter between the two, because crypto is so tempting to continue to put on risk and continue to kind of chase that new shiny thing. So I think what everyone's feeling right now, and I understand it, because if you haven't been here for years, if you just got in 2024, and you were being told that there was going to be the meme coin super cycle, and that if you're not full porting your existence into memes, like, you're going to miss out on this amazing thing. Like, I can understand why people are so devastated right now, because Bitcoin realistically is sitting at $88,000. Ethereum's at 2,300, but Ethereum's at 2,300. In the middle of the bear market, it was 1,000. So even if you just bought Ethereum, you wouldn't be down right now. You wouldn't be in the red. And there's plenty of people in the red. So I think we feel the pain of holding these altcoins, because we hold some altcoins. I think the main thing is really consider at this moment in time if you are properly allocated within your portfolio. I know I just bought some Tesla stock. Tesla is down $100, guys, today. Like, literally, like, it is another shitcoin, basically. Like, it is insane. So, like, you really couldn't, like, anything you've bought in the last couple of months, which I have bought a few different assets, like, you are in the gutter right now. So it's not, also the other important thing to remember is, like, it's not just crypto. Everything is down right now. There's a huge amount of uncertainty out there. But realistically, guys, like, we're in this game for how long, Alex? Like, we're not in this game for 3 months. We're in this game for 5, 10, 15 years. And realistically, we're hoping that the things we're buying, we don't ever have to sell. And the day that we sell them, they're going to be so much, the value of them is going to be so much greater than they are today, because all we did was just hold on to them for as long as possible and not get greedy. I mean, it's really that simple. But it's hard to do when, you're on social media every day and people are distracting you with all this garbage. So I don't have any financial advice for anyone. We can't do that here, but I do say I do have some life advice. Stop listening to everybody you hear online. I know that's kind of ironic coming from two dudes online, but telling you from experience, like, there's a lot of people who are misguiding you. But at the same time, there are some people out there online who have really good institutional grade information that you can follow for free. James from Invest Answers, I highly recommend it. I always talk about him. He's been spot on. There's been a few other people, CTO Larson, that know what they're doing, have an idea of what they're talking about, aren't just degenerate gamblers, and you can discern some good, discern and figure out for yourself, like, if this information is good or not. But just be careful who you're following, essentially. But yeah, I don't know what else to really say at that point. It's really just like, if you're in projects that you believe in, hopefully they come back. But the reality is that most altcoins are not going to come back from this, because most of them are genuinely just gambles and attention based. But I think everything that we've discussed on this pod, I think we should just honestly go through them and look. If you look at all the coins we've been talking about, yes, they're down. But am I confident they're going to come back up? Yes, I'm pretty confident that at some point or another, when we do have the sentiment return to the market, that these coins are going to do well. So I guess that's the main thing, is like, again, that's not the case for everything, but I do believe for the coins we've talked about, for the majority of them, they're going to come back. I mean, and realistically, you weren't safe no matter what you held. Solana is a perfect example of, it was the greatest coin ever a couple of months ago, and now everybody's acting like it is completely dead. So that's just where sentiment is. I understand it's not easy. It is a roller coaster. I know I'm rambling on here, Alex, so feel free to chime in at any point. But
Yeah,
like,
I'm just kind of, also I think this is a great wake up call for those that are looking at their portfolio and kind of saying to themselves, well, you know, everyone was telling me, or this is what we were looking at a few weeks ago, was meme coins were the next best thing. I liked what you were saying there around Solana. Solana is huge. The next thing to tackle Ethereum, right? It's right there. But you really need to let all of this information settle with you as you go throughout these bull runs and kind of take a look at the overall macro picture here, right? So when I'm looking at my portfolio, I'm trying to identify what do I think are my like blue chip buys, right? Things that are going to hold value should we come down into one of these low points or these dips. Newsflash, right? Not really a newsflash, but you're going to see more of these along the way. So if we go up towards 150,000, would not be surprised to see us come back down to 120. And everyone is going to be sitting here feeling the same way, right? We were at 60K not that long ago. Just 2-3 months ago, we were at that point, right? So maybe a little longer, but if you're looking at the overall picture, for us to be sitting here at almost 90K and people are freaking out, it's like, that's the next leg up. We have held all of that gain, almost $30,000 of gain. It's very, very realistic for us to go up to 150 and come back to 120. If we do see 180, come back down to 140, 150. As we get higher and higher, the swings will probably be larger and larger, just because the percentage is still 20 to 30% gain. So instead of us flipping down 20K, we're going to start to see 25, 30, then maybe 45, 50 on these swings down, right? And that's still the same 20, 30% drops for Bitcoin. And it's going to wreck these altcoins more than that every single time. So you want to stay very diligent in the way that you're thinking. So things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, these are going to be great hedges, right? And I know a lot of people talk about risk and how risk on you want to be. So if you want to take a very, very slow and moderate approach and still feel confident about making a solid return this bull run, then you want to have probably close to 75% of your portfolio within Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, these larger tokens or coins that are going to realistically hold up during these dips. If you want something more aggressive, then you're looking at a 50-50, right? And then obviously extremely aggressive, you're probably looking at something more like 75%. Smaller mid cap meme coins, and then the other 25% in these more blue chips. I personally keep 75% in a lot of these top coins, right? And then sometimes they may not have that market ranking of top 5 or top 10, but things that are very, very in high value, and the market is looking at them with a lot of scrutiny, trying to determine, is this going to jump market cap ranking from 50 up to 30 this bull run, or from 35 all the way up to top 10 this bull run. And that's what everyone's trying to snipe, and they're looking for these lows on these dips, and that's also going to keep these projects afloat. I think a prime example of that, two of them would be Sui and Ondo, right? So Ondo is currently ranked 40. Sui is ranked 15. Sui has made massive moves up in terms of total market cap ranking. Ondo as well. And I think both of them are holding key levels very, very well compared to the rest of the market. And the reason why is because there's so much FUD out there, right? So so many people are kind of looking into these projects and saying, hey, I've wanted them. Will it go lower? And as it gets lower, there's more people buying in because they're very, very worried that they're not going to get in to say Ondo right now, but below $1. People have been wishing they could get in. People have been hoping and praying that they could get Sui below $3. So when you start to look at that and you start telling yourself, hey, like these are kind of two projects that I can look at and be like, hey, I think they're going to hold key levels because of the amount of attention that they're getting at this time, even if they're not in the top 10. Those are something that those are coins that you might be able to throw into that pile or that label of safe investments, or safer than the rest of the market. So for if that's the way you're viewing it, right, you want to be within 75% of those if you're looking to not be in a situation where your entire portfolio goes down 50-60%, because you're going to see these 20-30% drops in Bitcoin and these 60% dips for these smaller to mid caps. So it's all about risk management. Meme coins get slaughtered. You can see it right now. Do I think they will recover? I think they're going to recover very, very well, right? As soon as Ethereum and Bitcoin move again, and you start seeing Ethereum up towards 4K, which is that level that I've been saying is going to really kickstart the market. I'm very, very bullish on Ethereum when it gets to 4K. I'm not saying it will in the next week or two, but when it does break 4K, I do think that there's a good chance that we run higher than 4K. And then once we start seeing Ethereum start pushing towards 5, I think it's basically the time where you really need to start taking profits, because these alts are going to be 5, 6, 7x in a lot of cases from where they are today at these lows. So that's the way I'm looking at the market. That's the way that I am kind of taking this info in and saying, hey, well, where do I want to deploy? Where do I want to DCA more capital into? And then from there, playing that safe route of, okay, these are the projects that I feel safe holding 75% of my portfolio in. And then everyone wants to come in here and you can call it gambling. You might refer to it as investing. But at the end of the day, you're kind of taking a gamble on some of these smaller caps, these meme coins that they're going to do a 10 to 15, 20x over the course of the next, hopefully 6 to 8 months. If we see that, then great, 25% of your portfolio goes up, but you don't want to be caught holding the bag at the end of this, right? You want to make sure that if you are investing large sums of money, or even if it's only a few $1,000s, and that is a large sum of money to your own person, that you are doing it safely. So this is a wake up call. This is not a time to, I think, capitulate and start worrying that you're going to get completely wiped out of your position. This is a time to kind of step back, think about where you want to go long term as we range up here, hopefully over these next few days or weeks, and then finally make that next leg higher. Again, 77K, if we do happen to sweep it, predicting it to be a very violent V-shaped recovery. And then that will give us a ton of breathing room to the upside, because all these exchanges, right, all these large hedge funds, everyone that's basically controlling the wave of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they do not want to give away free money, right? So they want to liquidate all this leverage trading, and they do that by tapping these lows in this case, which is around 77K. So I, again, wouldn't be surprised if we saw that happen. But the amount of scrutiny that people are placing on Bitcoin's price right now, if it does drop below, you're going to see so much buy pressure, because everyone would love to scoop some Bitcoin up in the low 80K range. So that's what's holding us here. I think, again, coming back to strategy, just buying $2 billion. You have a lot of key players continuing to buy. They bought above this. That just shows you that even smart money, large money, right? They are the whales. They are not seeing these moves either. In some cases, because I'm sure Michael Saylor would not have bought $2 billion if he knew it was going to be down towards 88K today. He would have just waited another day to do that. Take it with a grain of salt is what I'm getting at. Make sure that you're staying safe as we move forward in this market, because this 20-30% drop is not the first, and I promise it certainly won't be the last.
Yeah. The thing is, you've hit on a perfect point, because this is the honest truth, is that this has never been the situation for crypto has never been better. Institutions have never been more hungry to get into crypto because of all of the clarity, but retail has literally gambled themselves away to not be even able to take advantage of it. Like, this is the time where you want to have max exposure to this, because even if it doesn't work out now, maybe it works out in 6 months, maybe a year, but eventually, it's like this tidal wave is coming. It's almost inevitable to me, in my opinion. So all you have to do is make sure you're not gambling and putting your money into things that are just going to evaporate your capital. And it's not as easy as you would think, because there's so much noise. So you have to cut out the noise. You have to realize, like, all right, I need to find some level of understanding of how this works so that I can believe and trust in myself to make the right decisions and not be a complete idiot. It's like I said, I've burned myself many times because I really believed in some stupid project that didn't turn out to be anything. So you have to figure out how to get to that point where you can trust yourself to actually make good decisions. And then all it is we're going to sit on our hands and wait for what we believe is inevitable, which is more liquidity into the crypto markets. It's only a $3 trillion asset class. We have hundreds of trillions of dollars sloshing around everywhere else. The probability is that more of that money is going to come into the crypto space, and it's definitely going into Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, probably Sol. I guess like those four are, like, you can say definitely institutions are accumulating. And then there's smaller ones that maybe are more riskier now to have a heavy allocation to, but are clearly of institutional interest. That we talk about Tau on this channel a lot because it's the only altcoin I hold outside of Bitcoin, and I think we'll see how it plays out. I really have high conviction in it, and it's has a clear use case within the crypto space, so I think it can have the legs to stay around for a while. And a lot of this stuff in the real world asset class area, Ondo, and then again, Sui being like the little brother to Sol, like, they have these clear narratives and these clear institutional drivers that are pushing these things to continue developing and to continue on a growth trajectory path. So, like, those are the ones you probably want to be in. Outside of that, it's very speculative and very hard to decide, like, what's a good investment and what's not. But at the end of the day, you can see why it's important to also just keep it simple. Invest in Bitcoin. You don't have to be involved in this market every single day thinking that there's some opportunity you're going to miss. That's just not the case. But yeah, I guess that's really the encompassing of this whole this pod is really just, hopefully you're allocated into the right things. Hopefully you're not stuck in this situation where you're in coins or projects that are just never coming back. And unfortunately, I know for mainly the younger guys in the space, or the younger people in the space who get caught up in this stuff, like, it was pretty easy to do so because most of these influencers were pushing you in that direction. So don't feel bad, but just learn the lesson now and realize that it's a marathon, not a sprint type of thing, where you might not make it tomorrow, but maybe in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, you'll be really happy with the decisions you made now. So that's all I really have.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I don't think there's too much more to go into. We just wanted to kind of make a market update while we're all sitting here in the trenches together, and just kind of give some assurance, right, where the overall market is and how we're looking at it. Again, if you want the full experience, go follow us over on X. We're putting shorts up on YouTube. I'm sorry, from YouTube. We're breaking down this content and making our shorts over on TikTok as well, which kind of makes watching this content a little easier because we'll put the highlights up there. And we're posting daily. Nothing about selling, right? So we're going to tell you when we're selling, and we're going to tell you when we think this market is starting to get to a point essentially where we're looking at it as, hey, it's time to take some serious money off the table. Not financial advice. It's everything that you want to take away from it and apply to your own portfolio. We're just here kind of documenting our crypto journey together. And we're, again, just two bros, trying to figure out the best blockchains on the market right now. So
that's basically it.
That's it. So overall, we're in a really good spot, I think. I'm not worried. I'm not sitting here capitulating, stressing about my bags. Actually, it's pretty much the opposite, right? During these times, I kind of just log in and look at the market and see where things are going, and just kind of taking the information. I'm not over here stressing out. I'm not over here worrying because I have the conviction. If I didn't have the conviction, I would have never entered this amount of capital into the market, because I just simply wouldn't be here, right? Why would I be invested in a market where I don't believe in it? So for all of you that are sitting there kind of worrying, kind of stressing, just a pulse check here, just trying to tell you what we're thinking. Don't listen to all the FUD out there. Everyone's saying this is, going into a bear market. We're seeing a recession. Can anything happen? Can a black swan happen? Can this market take a downturn? Of course, right? We don't predict the future. No one can. Again, look at strategy, right? They just bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin yesterday. Why would they have not waited to buy today? One of the biggest Bitcoin holdings, right, in the world. Michael Saylor is extremely, extremely smart and knows how to navigate these markets, and they still didn't make the best call. So we're all here. We're all navigating it. No one here is correct and can look into that crystal ball and predict the future. But we can use our knowledge base and the experiences that we've had in the past to make the best choices going forward. And that's what we're trying to provide to you here, so you can make those calls for yourself. But with that, I think we'll end it. Unless Don, do you have anything else?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's everything and everything we needed to say. And I think at the end of the day, hopefully, this can be a lesson. Guys, every time the markets crash, it's a lesson. You're always checking yourself and making sure that, you're doing the right things in your portfolio. And at the end of the day, it could go down and keep going down to zero. Who knows? But it also could go up. So hopefully it goes up.
We hope, right?
But yeah, no, I got nothing else. I appreciate everyone who's listening still, and hopefully we come out on the other side all right.
Stay positive, right?
Right.
With that, we'll end it there. As always, two bros on blockchain. Out.
Pray.